Yo, what's up guys? Alex here again from Elite Football Conditioning, and in today's video I'm going to take you through 3 super simple exercises you can do to take care of low back pain. So generally something that we get as a complaint, because everything we do in football is very anterior dominant. The hips, the quads are involved in an awful lot, and a lot of the time we're in that forward body posture where we can react and change direction very, very quickly, instantaneously, ideally. So one of the things that generally tends to happen is we end up leaning forwards and we lose a bit of pelvic control and a little bit of hip position. So that and again, this can have a knock-on effect in terms of when we're sprinting, we end up losing our hip position, we strike the ground in a poor position, we put stress on the hamstrings, and we end up causing ourselves not only pain in the lower back, but also potential hamstring issue or something further on that is going to cause us a problem and probably result in you losing game time if that happens. So a couple of really, really quick, simple things that you can do, and you don't even need a gym space for this. Your living room will do. A lot of the core positioning is all about, obviously, trunk stabilization and holding the spine solid. So just an isometric contraction where you don't even have to be moving. You can just be fixed at one point with your spine in that neutral position where your hips are in the right position. That's the main thing. And then also integrating the hips into those movements as well. So I'm going to take you through a couple of those little exercises where we're going to do that. I'm going to show you 3 with a variation on one of them that you can use to advance it a little bit. So technically 4. And then I'm going to tell you my bonus tip for not just low back pain and improving performance for football, but just general health as well. So position number 1, very, very basic. You're just going to hold a static isometric plank, and that can be with your palms turned up as well. You're going to push your elbows into the floor, hold your hips at the same height as your shoulders, and you're going to push your weight forwards onto your tiptoes. A lot of the time I see people with their ass in the air, heels down towards the floor, and their elbows way in front of the shoulders. That's not a position we want to be in. We want to be in this position here, which is going to mimic our position if we're standing and then eventually sprinting. So that's the position we want to mimic and rotate into. Hold there, squeeze as hard as you can, and ideally what you're looking to do, again with the next exercise as well, is build up time and build up an accumulation to that resistance of any shift or change in the spine. So that's position number 1, isometric plank. If you've never done them before, see how long you can hold it for in that neutral position without your hips sagging or without resting by putting them up in the air and doing that cheat. Time it, see how long you can get, and then keep trying to push towards that time in subsequent sets if you've got a bit of rest in between. So let's say you manage to do 1 minute and 20 seconds. What I would then ask you to do, try 3 sets of 45 seconds with 30 seconds in between each one. See if you can complete those. The one thing we don't want to see is this, where the hips are hanging down towards the floor and you go, yep, I'm holding my plank. You're doing nothing there. Don't do that, okay? So make sure everything's in that solid and stable position. Now the next one, side plank. So you're going to have elbow on the floor again, underneath the shoulder. You don't want to be pushing away or leaning at that kind of angle. Top leg, I want you to bring that in front, so you're actually working the adductors as well through the inner thigh. And this is what I'm talking about in terms of integrating the hip muscles to stabilize you. Pop your hand on the floor, use that to push you up. You're going to be bracing through your adductors on this bottom leg, bracing through your abductors on this bottom leg and pushing through your adductors on this top leg, keeping your obliques engaged. And whatever you want to do with this arm, you just can't put it down on the floor. I want you to angle your hips slightly towards the floor and squeeze. Concentrate on keeping a straight line. I'm going to try and show you here. Straight line from that bottom ankle through your knee, through your hip, into your shoulder. So we want to be straight line planking there. Now, the addition for this, hopefully you can see that on the camera. I don't know. We're going to bring in a bench. We're going to elevate that top leg onto the bench. If doing this with a straight leg is too tough to begin with, bring it in. We'll go bent knee, So knee and ankle on the bench, you're going to squeeze this bottom leg up into the bench, hold for tension there. Once you've done that, tell you what, you're getting all the bonus exercises here. Once you've done that, you're going to go straight leg. If you can hold that, that's really good. We're happy with that. So that's a Copenhagen plank, which is just a little advancement of your side plank. Again, concentrate, hold that appropriate position and hold it for time. Okay, don't worry too much about adding in reps for it or anything like that. Simply holding it for time, working the isometric contraction, building up towards a level of fatigue and technical breakdown. That's the best way to train those. So your final one, which is going to be a little bit of an exception to the rule on this. I've done this a million times before, but we're going to go with the braced bird dog. This is just the really basic variation. You can go more complex where you've got your knees about an inch off the floor. But today we're just going to stick with this. So this is a really good one to teach that neutral spine posture. So quite simply, I want you to push your back around it as much as you possibly can. Once you've done that, I want you to arch it the other way as far as you possibly can. So you've got a feel for your two extreme positions, which we don't want to go near to. We want to pull back into that midpoint, and hopefully my back, unless something really bad's happened lately, is going to be in a good, flat, neutral, stable position. I'm going to push hard through the hands. So again, protracting through the scapula. And then all we're going to do, and this is where again we bring the posterior chain, the glutes, and that hip coordination into it. You're going to reach as far as you can, opposite arm, opposite leg. I'm going to push away with my fingertips in my hand as far as I can to that wall in front of me. And I'm trying to push my heel as far away behind me as possible. I'm not trying to raise it towards the ceiling. I'm not doing a donkey kick or any of that nonsense. You're just pushing and extending as far away as you possibly can through both sides. And hopefully what you should be able to see here, if you keep that straight line, we're looking this kind of position. And again, well, I know that's the wrong side, but we're going to be mimicking those sprinting positions and that straight line posture, which I've spoken about in the P's video, where I spoke about your posture, placement, positioning, the pattern, and the power that you're applying into the ground. That's a really, really good exercise to drill and work at that. So your best way to do this, working for reps, let's say we're going to go 5 each side. You're going to add in a 5-second hold at each position, squeezing as hard as you can, pushing and stretching yourself as much as you possibly can. This isn't just a passive exercise, so concentrate on applying that force in that direction. Now, for anyone who has currently got low back pain, if you're doing those exercises, that's a great start. That's going to build up that core stability, that trunk stability to hold your spine and your hips stable and develop that lumbo-pelvic coordination when it comes to movement. The next thing I want you to do, if you're still in a little bit of pain, fast walking. And I don't mean walking as in kind of plodding along. I mean, if you see someone in the street and you think, he's having an awesome day, you should be bouncing, getting a real good stride on. That's the kind of fast walking I'm talking about. I'm not going to demonstrate it for you in this video. I think you'll know what I mean. But they're your key exercises with a couple of little bonuses for you to think about if you are struggling with low back pain. But also I definitely recommend adding those in either in your gym sessions as a warm-up or as a finisher. If you're doing them at the end, you can push them to absolute fatigue. If you're doing them as a warm-up, mainly with the bird dog, you'll be okay with that. You can do that for reps, a little bit of a hold. If you're going to do the planks, work within your threshold where you know you can maintain good stability. You just get a good squeeze and feel for the muscles and treat that as an activation exercise. Some really simple ways for you to put that in there. 2 simple ways, warm-up and finisher. Finisher, you can work to fatigue and go to town on it. You can add a bit of weight if you want. Have a little play around with those and let me know if that works for you. I can guarantee it's going to cure you and prevent you from any sort of low back pain. And then again, it comes down to the simple things. Work on your posture, your positioning, and just be technically efficient when it comes to sprinting, sprint speed, and looking after yourself. So a couple of real simple ways for you to improve your on-pitch performance from your living room. No equipment needed. just the work and the mindset. Get to town on it, and I will be back with another video soon. I will see you then.